Welcome, everyone. I'm here today with Gabrielle Gelderman. Gabrielle is an MTS student, a Master of Theological Studies student at St. Stephen's College. She began her program in 2019, and she is making some good progress. She's looking to finish perhaps as early as 2021. That's the aim. See how the thesis goes. Welcome, Gabby. It's great to see you and to sit down with you today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Let's start with a really simple question. What first attracted you to St. Stephen's? How did you end up here, and what attracted you to the program?
I knew some people that had gone actually and really enjoyed their experience at St. Stephen's. I did my undergrad in Victoria, and when I moved back to Edmonton, I was starting to look into theology, which I never thought I would. And when I looked at the programs at St. Stephen's, it really kind of expanded my understanding of what theology can entail, and made me start thinking about a potential career, specifically doing chaplaincy work and the role that theology can play in that. So I think that's where the interest started.
Gabby, I wonder, what do you find unique about your studies at St. Stephen's? What's so different or special about studying here at St. Stephen's, maybe as opposed to other institutions that you've been at?
Mm-hmm. I loved the small class sizes. That was really completely changed the learning experience for me. Most of my other courses or other classes in my undergrad and other programs I've done have been pretty large. The small, intimate classes and the way that profs really integrate kind of the whole person, the whole student. There's this beautiful understanding of the lives that students bring into the classrooms with them, their own spiritualities, their beliefs, their politics, and really giving space for students to explore all of those aspects and connect them to the coursework, and then of course applying the coursework to their own lives. Going into the program, I didn't know what I was going to do my thesis on, what I was going to focus on. And I think I kind of was like, is it even possible to integrate all these various aspects of my life, like climate organizing, politics, or political work, my spirituality, and grief and loss and chaplaincy? I was like, it's too many things. I'll never be able to fit it all into a thesis. And the work, or like the spaces in St. Stephen's, was about integration, was about making these connections between parts of our lives. And so it was really liberating, especially my research methods class, to realize like, oh, I can do a thesis about all of these things. And actually that's the most powerful work we can do as people, is integrating various parts of our lives, I think.
Gabby, diversity is something that we're always trying to expand and grow into at the college. We're working to foster a diverse learning community, and I wonder, how have you experienced diversity at the college, and in what ways maybe has it enhanced and expanded your learning at the college?
Part of my reason for applying to the MTS program and looking into chaplaincy was my experience doing climate organizing. So I worked as a climate justice activist or organizer for several years before applying to the program, and was really interested in the topic of climate grief. That's what I'm writing my thesis on, but specifically how faith traditions and Christian theology in particular, and spirituality, can give us tools or frameworks to understand what's happening in terms of the climate crisis, and how to respond to it, and how to deal with it, in particular on an emotional level and not on a spiritual level. Before the program, I had been mostly talking with other young people about these issues, and that was powerful and good and important, but I hadn't actually engaged with people of various ages. And my experience at the college really helped me to expand that, to like talk about these difficult issues with people of all ages and experiences. And there was like often space to do that. It was often encouraged to bring up these issues that aren't easy to talk about, but I think are like essential at this point in history, especially.
That's awesome, because I think creates this opportunity for, how do I put this, like engagement at a really profound level on something that you share values on, right? Cutting across communities you wouldn't normally connect with, right?
Yeah.
And then it takes on another layer of profundity when it's interlaced with faith commitments and theological commitments, right?
Yeah.
These things really, they can go deep very quickly. So
Yeah.
that's really neat to hear.
Yeah, you really get to the heart of issues, I think, when you're using using theological lenses. And yeah, I found it really powerful.
That's great. Gabby, one last question for you. I really enjoyed our conversation. And I wonder, as you look ahead a bit, maybe this relates to your thesis work a little bit too, but there are real and tangible needs in our world today. And I wonder how is your education at St. Stephen's equipping you in the future to go out and do some of that work? Maybe it's even equipping you to do some of that work now, but as you look ahead, how is your education at St. Steve's equipping you to meet these real and tangible needs?
Yeah, my interest in chaplaincy is in creating spaces where people can talk about difficult issues, in this case, grief and loss, in a safe space. And my experience with the CPE unit, working in the hospital, really exposed me to how powerful these conversations can be with people experiencing loss. You know, you're sitting in a room with a patient or a family member who's experiencing illness or grief or loss, and the level of of kind of even in a like one conversation that's really short, the level of depth that you can get to with someone when a safe space is created is really profound. And what happens there is healing, I think, even on a small level. And that's what I've loved about the CPE unit, was really giving us the tools to how to create those spaces with patients or with people, and how to do the work inside ourselves to be able to show up to those spaces in the most real and authentic way that we can, which I think is the job of a chaplain. Maybe the job of everybody, I think, but chaplaincy, it's acute. I think it's like if you don't show up in a really authentic way, it's hard to create that space of presence. And so in our world today, I think more than ever, people need those spaces to be honest about what they're working through. In the case of my thesis, I'm working with young people, young climate organizers who are grappling with, issues around the climate crisis and political crises every day by choice, for the most part. And it takes a huge toll on people's emotional health and, I think, spiritual health. And there's a deep need for spaces where they can identify what those emotions are and grapple with the questions that are coming up, because the questions are big, and we like to avoid them because they're so scary. But the questions are about, am I going to have kids? What's going to happen, when or if the world reaches 3 or 4 degrees of warming in my lifetime? What does that mean for our political systems? What does that mean for inequality? What does that mean for the water that we drink and the land that we live on and the food that we eat? It's so present and big. But those questions are also, in my mind, deeply connected to spiritual questions and existential question. What's our responsibility to each other? What does it mean to live in right relationship with the world around us, the land and the people? And you can answer those questions from a theological perspective, from a Christian perspective, but you can answer them from so many other perspectives as well. And St. Stephen's really gave me the tools to, I think, create those spaces and invite different perspectives, ones that aren't, rooted in the Christian tradition, but are coming from other angles, yeah, integrating those various perspectives and giving space to those voices, which I think is really essential, yeah, for the world we live in right now.
Well, Gabby, thank you so much. It's been really nice to sit and chat with you. Miss seeing you around campus, but we'll look
Yeah,
forward to when we can be back on campus together.
yeah, one
And
day.
yeah, really exciting to hear where you're at, and hope the thesis continues to go well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Fred. This was lovely.
Okay.